Hey guys, Monochrome here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Genuinely good to have you. Today we're taking a look at a neat little traditional EDC knife. And I do mean little. This thing is tiny. This is the Buck 375 Deuce. And the deuce comes from the fact that you actually get two blades on this thing. Traditional, classic, two-bladed penknife slip joint. This is going to be a good choice for those who want an extreme minimalist EDC loadout, and a good choice for those viewers and subscribers who are in the UK. This little guy is very much going to be street legal. As a matter of fact, I think this might be the absolute smallest folding knife that Buck makes. Now, yes, there is a similar looking knife in their lineup called the Solo, and that one has a single clip point blade, but that one is actually a little bit longer in length than this one, which has two blades. The handles are Pakkawood, so nothing too expensive, as you can see, pinned in place with nickel silver bolsters. And guys, as usual, if you want to learn a bit more about this knife in terms of specs, check out the description box below when the video is over. You'll find some specs there. Yep. Now, right off the bat, I do have to mention this is not one of the many Buck knives made right here in America. Sorry, this is a made in China variation, but it still comes with Buck's Forever warranty. However, with the made in China ones, you're going to get a replacement rather than a repair the vast majority of the time. So just keep that in mind if you end up building some memories with one of Buck's made in China knives. They'll replace it, and that's going to be easier and more cost-effective for them rather than repairing it. So that's a little unfortunate. And honestly, guys, with this little guy, what you see is what you get. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. Let's take a look at the blades. Nail nick opener, and the first one is going to be a clip point. Now, as you can see, there's pretty much zero belly to this particular clip point blade. And I know that's going to be an issue for some of you out there. But you do get the clip point blade. Let's take a closer look. Yeah, Buck 375. On the other side, well, nothing on the other side. Now, unfortunately, when it comes to knives this small, which are commonly called a peanut, this small, the issue is the springs usually aren't that strong. And on a traditional slip joint, you want the springs to be stiff. Well, sorry. This is not Buck's fault. It doesn't matter who makes the peanut pattern. The springs, because the knife overall is so tiny, they're just not going to be that stiff. So that's not an issue with Buck. Let me show you what I mean. Just a little bit of pressure, and oh yeah, yeah. It is very easy. Look at that, just a little bit of pressure. So you do have to be careful, more so than usual with a traditional classic slip joint, in using a knife like this, again, from any company that makes the peanut pattern, not just Buck. So there's your clip point blade. Let's take a look at the other one. And this is not a blade shape you see much of nowadays. Nail nick opener on both of them. And yeah, if you thought that clip point blade was skinny, check out that one. The nail nick opening feature actually takes up most of the blade. Yes. Yes. Now, this is what's known as a coping pattern blade. As you can see, it's straight and it's slanted, a lot like a sax. One of the things that you could use this blade for is with a scalpel grip. And I guess in an emergency, if you're a doctor or an EMT, you could use this as a scalpel, but a better idea is if you need to make a precise cut on paper and you're not too worried about the material underneath the paper, for example, maybe a wooden table. Yep. Straight cut with the tip at the bottom. Very useful. So yeah, that's your very skinny, very short coping blade. Now, another issue is that, again, general issue with the peanut pattern, not the Buck Deuce specifically. You get either something that's very easy to close, but then it springs back, or sometimes you get this, very easy to close, barely any pressure, and it doesn't spring back. Yeah, again, very common. Those are the two biggest issues with the peanut pattern, and ironically, my particular example of the Buck Deuce exhibits both. Yeah. The clip point, tiny bit of pressure, it starts to close. I let off with the thumb and it springs back open. Not very quickly though. With the coping blade, tiny bit of pressure, it starts to close and doesn't spring back open. Yeah, so with something like this, I mean, its EDC ability is fantastic because of the overall small, narrow size and lack of weight. Seriously, this knife is barely over half an ounce. I'm not kidding. This whole thing is barely over half an ounce. So yeah, fantastic for EDC purposes. Unfortunately, yeah, you're just going to have to deal with springs that are not remotely stiff. And on some examples, easy to close, but will spring back open. And on other examples, easy to close and will not spring back open. And yeah, my luck, I get a peanut pattern where both issues exist on the same knife. But again, that is not a criticism of buck. It's a very common thing. So please keep that in mind if you decide that a peanut pattern is going to be something good for you. This is very useful if you have a loose thread on your shirt. Very useful for extreme light duty cutting chores. I mean, basically, I can see a newspaper vendor in the UK using something like this to cut open the twine on a bundle of newspapers. Yep. And some people would call this a good church knife or going to church knife. That's where you have something very small, like the peanut pattern. It's not threatening. It's not anything that would make the sheeple urinate in their underwear. It's very non-threatening, not just small, but downright tiny. So it would look appropriate in a church during Mass if maybe you have a loose thread on your good suit and you just need to discreetly take care of it. Yeah. Something very tiny, very discreet. I mean, honestly, a lot more discreet than pulling out your tactical folder. Yeah. This is going to raise some eyebrows. This one won't. And even though this isn't a comparison video, I'm sure some of you are wondering, well, how does it compare against a Victorinox Classic? Well, I've got one right here. And I was surprised to find that the buck's overall length is actually taller than the Classics. However, even though it looks as though the buck would be thicker, they're right about the same thickness. So that was a bit surprising. And of course, as you can see, the buck is quite a bit narrower. So there's your comparison. Do I think a Victorinox Classic overall might be a better choice for some? Yes, I do, because you get a fantastic pair of scissors, you get a great way to carry tweezers, and a not so great but still useful toothpick, and you have a keychain attachment. So yeah, for some people, I do think the Victorinox Classic would be the better choice. But again, this is not a full-on comparison video. The buck definitely has some things. Excuse me. The buck definitely has some things going for it. That lovely traditional look. A blade shape that you simply are not going to get on the Victorinox or most other modern day small knives. And yeah, just an overall very nice, very classic, non-threatening look. Now, I'm sure some of you are saying, well, the Victorinox is also non-threatening. You'd be surprised. You would be surprised. Yeah. Some people, and it's actually been documented, some people have actually freaked out over individuals pulling out a Victorinox Classic. But something like this, yeah, this is going to be sheeple friendly. Nothing too fancy, useful, very pragmatic, unless you need a larger locking knife. But of course, Buck makes those as well. Yes, they do. It's just nice. And one of the things I really like is that the pins, they don't stick up out of the handle scales. I mean, this is smooth. You're not going to tear up your finger going across. Nice, smooth, nice little buck shield. This is something that your grandfather probably carried back in the day as a young man. And for those of you who want extreme minimalist EDC carry, yeah, this might be a viable option for you. Guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video of this neat, tiny, traditional, classic buck knife, peanut pattern. Guys, please stay safe out there. Yes, it's still dangerous. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.